hello guys. So I received the key for this game here, Interdimensional Vending Machine. My first time getting a free key from a developer. So I couldn't pass up the opportunity to do a review in this way. Now, they were fine with me being harsh to the game if I had to be, which showed some confidence from the devs, and that made me more interested. Now, this is not the type of game I play usually. I don't usually play point-and-click games, but this one was kind of horror-themed, so if it was a visual novel, I wouldn't bother with it. They're not my thing, but this one's more point-and-click, even though the characters have an anime aesthetic. Still, well, IVM, as I'll call it now, for convenience's sake. Although it has some anime-like character designs, it's not a Gooner game, unless of course you have some very fucked up fetishes, like some otherworldly shit, none of which I've ever heard of. This is a game based on the concept of the SCP number 261, the vending machine. Now, you know how gay SCP has become. I've mentioned some of the absolutely gay shit that there is in their website, like full-on paused Redditor brimstone. I mean, they love pride, guys. Look at this. Isn't that cute? Aren't they stunning and brave? It's such a bold move to change your logo to a flag of a movement, quote unquote, that every big corporation and government out there supports, right? Isn't that so very friggin' virtuous? I'll make sure to go to the next pride parade to watch naked adults pissing on each other, transmitting disease in front of small children who are brought to watch by their shit-lipped parents to traumatize and screw with their development. Isn't that so cool and progressive? But anyway, at least SCP-261 is one of the early ones, back from when this site was not infected with AIDS, so that's the silver lining. Now let's go over the gameplay. Describing the gameplay as point and click I think is accurate enough, although it's a very simple version of that genre. This game vaguely reminds me of shit like Cookie Clicker. You have to grind for money basically, so you can use the vending machine. The main gameplay loop is you beg for money on the streets, which involves just waiting, and that's probably the biggest problem I have with this game. Initially, to get money, this is the way. You just wait around as people walk by, hurling all sorts of insults at you for being a filthy hobo, and drop some coins in your can. You don't need to do anything else. They even included a fast forward button to speed this up. For your entertainment, you can read what the pedestrians have to say about you at least, although none of these messages mean anything gameplay wise, and you can alt tab it to do other stuff, so very exciting.
Exciting gameplay.
You just have to be careful, or not, depending on what you're trying to achieve, not to be caught by the police, although the game gives you about 5 warning messages before you're actually arrested. If you're arrested though, it's no big deal. You just skip 3 days and you're back on the streets. You don't lose anything, aside from your transformation's progress, and we'll see what that means soon. Playing on hard makes no difference in this regard, and if you're arrested, you can just go back to get your money that accumulated in the tin can from earlier, so there's barely any consequence to being arrested. In fact, you might want to do so to get achievements. So after you get some money, you can use the titular Interdimensional Vending Machine. It gives you all sorts of food and beverage items, and I mean all sorts of them, from regular food like hamburgers and french fries to shit only golems eat like centipedes and cockroaches, rats and other critters, rotten food, and a shit ton of drinks. It also gives you shit you wouldn't eat under any circumstance, like batteries, coloring pencils, gasoline, liquid asphalt, nitrogen, dead fetuses, liquid gold, mercury, tar, all sorts of things. And then there's some wacky otherworldly shit like aliens, hypercubes, magical cakes, the forbidden fruit, non-Euclidean objects. The variety in consumables is insane, so the biggest appeal of this game is curiosity, finding new items. I remember peculiarly really liking the Paper Mario cooking mechanic, where you could make new items by combining the ones you have, and I liked this in Harvest Moon for the PS1 too for some reason. So this game giving you all these weird consumables depending on how much money you put in the machine, down to the units even, really scratched that itch for me. Now, unfortunately, Unfortunately, these items, they don't do much, functionally speaking. The point in eating them is to progress in certain routes, transformation routes. This game has several ways in which you can transform your character by eating these foods. Well, each consumable falls into a category. Bugs, for instance, and yes, you can eat the bugs in this game if you want. Not sure if the devs did this intentionally or not, but whatever. When you eat the bugs repeatedly, the girl you control begins to mutate. She starts to turn into a bug slowly as you keep eating more bugs. Eventually you reach the final form of that route and you get a hecking Chivo on Steam for it, and you can choose a reward, a perk basically, or unlock new items the IVM can sell you, which unlocks new routes. Then you are reset to your normal human form. The days keep going by as they were. You don't reset to the first day. You also keep your money and items, which to be honest made the game less appealing to me. I'd have liked it better if I lost everything and had to start from scratch. Anyway, other routes include, for instance, the glutton route, where you become unbelievably, monstrously fat, the devil route, where you turn into a devil, the vampire route, same thing, so on and so forth. There's like 30 different routes you can choose. Sadly, once you complete a route, that's it. You just reset and get an achievement. There's no ending cutscene or anything. This game would have been 2 or 3 times better if that were the case. It would make everything much more satisfying to know what happens once you achieve the final form, a being capable of leveling cities and countries, you know. A different ending for each route would have been very good. This game lacks that dearly, even though it does have some cutscenes like the intro and whenever you reach a milestone with the vending machine. Other things you unlock are locations you can bag in. You have a bunch of city blocks and you unlock them by talking to some NPCs that are around and giving them food. They'll tell you about these areas a little bit and unlock them for you basically. If you don't feed these NPCs, they also decay into monstrosities. But sadly, once again, that has no consequence for you. Some areas have more people walking by, which gives you more money, and others have no people around at all, so there's no point in bagging in them. The last area you unlock has another vending machine. This one's called the coffee machine. You put money in it and you can type the name of a liquid and it'll drop it for you in the dispenser. I mean every liquid, from water to booze to spit to sperm to molten lava to mercury, detergent, poison, anything. Now of course the game doesn't have every single liquid in existence. That wouldn't be viable, but there are over 50 different liquids you can get, which is plenty, especially the variety in coffee types. Some of them are not intuitive, sadly, like you would never know to type cancer in the machine for it to give you liquid cancer. Kinda sucks, like there's no way you'd think of these things without looking them up, or the game just telling you what words you can use. The novelty and curiosity factor are very good at the beginning when you try to discover each thing this machine can give you by yourself. But again, once you realize all these items do is they begin to transform you, which in itself also isn't very meaningful in terms of gameplay or plot, which this game has none. So the novelty, it wears off very fast. You don't get cool special powers or new properties or anything. It's just a visual change. The NPCs, they also mutate like you if you give them too much of the same type of item. You can turn them into angels or eldritch abominations and other stuff. Although sadly, I don't think this does anything. It just changes their appearance. Some NPCs give you money for the food you give them. I found a way to basically print infinite money through one of them, so that part of the game gets trivialized after a while, which sucks. Or not. I mean, beats just waiting and begging. There are even some animals like cats, dogs, and birds you can give food to, and they turn into fucked up monsters over time, although they give you nothing in return. So what's the point in doing this? Does this game have an end goal? You can't die even if you starve. Starvation is just another transformation route after all. When you're arrested or captured, you're released. So what's the objective or challenge here? Well, another negative of this game is that it seemingly doesn't have an objective. The game has a shit ton of different items. You basically discover more and more items to consume and complete routes. So you get achievements on Steam. That's that's it. This game is basically a glorified art gallery. It has a lot of neat stuff to look at, neat insults the pedestrians hurl at you, neat reactions in flavor text your character blurts whenever she grabs a new item. It has a lot of these things, but none of them do anything. They're just visuals. There's even a gallery section in the main menu, and some behind the scenes stuff, but only in the deluxe edition. And that's the main appeal, the curiosity of finding out each possibility and what it looks like. Admittedly, at first I was pretty curious to know what kinds of fucked up items the vending machine would give me. It's interesting to say the least, but due to there not being much you can do with this humongous variety of items, the novelty, it wears off quite fast. Now, there are some things in the description of this game on Steam that are just not true, like eat or drink to survive. You don't need to survive, you don't die in this game. There are no fail states. Beg for coins on the streets. Every encounter feels uncertain, and every coin you earn is another chance to survive. Again, you don't need to survive. And like, there are no encounters. You just read some people shitting on you as they walk by. There's a lot of emphasis on choice, but there really aren't any choices for you to make. Even if you choose a route, it's pretty easy to reverse course and go down another route. All you have to do is starve and your character will revert back to normal, or you just eat items of a different route and she'll revert as well. New anomalies appear as you progress and the environment grows unstable. No, it doesn't. There are no instabilities with the environment. It's always the same shit. It takes less than an hour to unlock every area, and after that the game gets really repetitive. Nothing new happens at all to the city or the people. Feed other strangers. Some will thank you, some will suffer. Well, they always thank you. Their fate depends on your choices. There are no choices. They don't die. There are no consequences. Nothing you do in this game has consequences. If you don't feed them, they just revert back to normal and then to the starvation route, and they don't die. They don't get angry at you. They don't attack you. They don't do anything. Your actions leave marks on the world. Streets grow unfamiliar. Encounters change. New anomalies emerge. That's just a convoluted way of saying that you unlock new streets and you find new NPCs in that second vending machine. The city reshapes itself around your journey, becoming a reflection of what you are turning into. That is extremely misleading language. Nothing changes. You only unlock new streets and NPCs that always say the same things. In these several different locations you visit, there's a lot of stuff in the background, but none of it is clickable. I expected more from this. There's a bathroom in your apartment that you unlock pretty early. Nothing in there is clickable. You can't do anything in there. There's a balcony too, but there's nothing there. I was clicking everywhere searching for secrets, but there are none. I also really wanted to be able to use the items more intelligently. What I mean is, well, say I need an omelette to unlock the last area because I need to get past this guy, and he asks you for random items so he can let you through. I thought, well, maybe I can fry an egg perhaps on the stove in the apartment. Do I want to kill a certain NPC? Then I could, I don't know, give him poison. But there's none of that. You can't even combine or cook items together to discover new items, which would have been satisfying as fuck for me. It's a shame. So this game is basically an achievement collectathon. After you unlock every area, all that's left to do is to grind for achievements, basically. One thing that really frustrated me was when you get the achievement for putting 1 million yen in the machine, I was expecting like a super interesting animation as a reward, but no. This is what I get. The machine shoots something into the sky and that's it. Like the previous animations were more interesting. There is no story, there's no lore. The NPCs mention a sickness when you talk to them for the first time, but that's it. They don't expand on this or anything. After that, they just ask you for items repeatedly. That's it. Your own character doesn't even talk to him. She only talks when she comments on the items she gets from the IVM. Each item has a different line of flavor text, but the interaction with NPCs is very shallow and she doesn't respond to what they say. Then there's a cameo of a YouTuber, Manly Badass Hero, I think. He just hangs out in one location and gives you rare items periodically. I don't know the guy. All I know is he makes videos to showcase obscure indie games from itch.io, or so that's the impression I got. I don't know, man. Considering how shallow this game is, spending resources on things like this is pretty stupid, to be honest. When you eat or drink items that are extremely poisonous and dangerous, like molten lava or nitrogen, you get an animation which shows your stomach exploding or freezing or melting, which is more eye candy, quote unquote, for you to look at, but it does nothing. Like, it makes no difference in terms of gameplay. Like, literally nothing. Each item the machine spits out for you has a code that is shown on the display, and if you put the exact amount of money to get to that number, it gives you the same item, so you don't need to keep rolling dice to get the items you want. You can just use the exact amount, so you can unlock every route pretty easily. You just need to be patient. This game tests your patience, basically. How much of a good guy you are that you'll grind for money to get the chivos. The coffee machine, the magic of finding new words got obliterated when I found a piece of crumpled paper that told me all the words I could use on it. Each time I inspected it, it will tell me 5 different words, shuffling random words each time. So that was pretty disappointing. Why not hide words throughout the game in locations in more clever ways? That would have been very satisfying to find. In your apartment, there's a refrigerator you can store items in, but there's no point because your inventory is infinite and it doesn't freeze items or anything. The money changing hands animation when you give items to NPCs is too slow, especially when you find a way to make a shit ton of money. You'll sit through that repeatedly a lot. Putting coins in the machine in itself is tiresome because you need to keep dragging and dropping them, and so it's a fine workout for your forearm, I guess. You can use this crow to swap for bigger coins, which helps, but you need to wait for the next day to arrive to pick up your coin, so you still need to keep dropping 500 yen coins in the machine to speed things up. At some points I was trying to get captured by the different organizations other than the police to get the achievements, but sometimes they just don't do it. Like, they say I'm too powerful for them to capture me, so maybe that's another glitch, because later it worked, even though I didn't do anything different. I got some repeated texts a bunch of times when trying to do this as well, so the game is pretty undercooked there. Playing on hard makes barely any difference. It's not worth it. It's like that difficulty is just there for show. The game doesn't support enough hotkeys. You have to rely on your mouse for almost everything. It only supports up to 1080p resolution, and if you want to start over for some reason, I don't know why you would, I did because I wanted to check out how hard mode worked, well, it overwrites your previous playthrough. You only have one save slot in this game, basically. Another weak point. And lastly, some of the music is cool. There aren't many tracks, but the menu music reminded me of Doom, and when you're interacting with the vending machine, it reminded me of the music from Teardown. I liked that game. So, to wrap things up already, because this game is a pretty simple game. In fact, I don't think it would be unfair to call this more of a sandbox to experiment on a concept, that concept being SCP-261 in game form. The game is pretty cheap, it's only $7. It is reasonably interesting for the first hour or two at most, but afterwards it gets repetitive. So maybe $7 is still too much. I wanted to see more functional content. The concept is pretty ambitious, perhaps too ambitious, because the massive variety in items would not make it viable for all of them to have a unique effect. However, I still wanted to see more variety in terms of what things could do for you. I wanted more depth to its mechanics, more progression, more story, more events, more possibilities on what to do, because what you get to do aside from using the machines and collecting money is just feeding NPCs to see what they end up looking like, something that doesn't even unlock new flavor text from them, cloning items and merging coins in the coin merger. So it's pretty barren in terms of possibilities. As it is now, it's extremely barren, or rather shallow, I think is a better word. But yeah, the game also having no fail states is pretty underwhelming. So although I got bored of the game pretty fast, I only played it for like 7 hours to make this review, and only for that reason I played for that long. I don't hate it, it did make me mad. It wasn't torture to play either, unlike some of the other games I've reviewed in the past. It doesn't have much to offer. Now, do I recommend this game? Well, if you think looking at a person getting mutated horribly in many different ways is interesting, and you like these kinds of visuals, then sure. And if you like showing off your epic achievos on Steam to your friends, and you like to platinum your VJ games, then sure, it's pretty easy to do that in this game. Otherwise, you probably would not enjoy it. It is what it is. At least none of the routes make you tune out or any other perverse shit from modern day real life. For the meme, no, the game is not woke. So yeah, that's the video. A little bit less organized this time. For whatever fucking reason, maybe I'm losing my mojo. If I ever had one to begin with, I need to set up the mic stand for streaming again. I wanted to play some games with you guys. I've been missing it. I also saw some people got some memberships, which I appreciate, but don't feel obliged to do so, especially when my streaming schedule is non-existent like this, at least for the time being. But meanwhile, I'll try to come up with some badges for members. But yeah, is this the indie game to save gaming? No. The search continues. Is it enjoyable for a while? Yeah, I would say so. I sound kinda sad in this video because if this game had a story, more gameplay possibilities like the ones I mentioned, if it were more fleshed out, I would really like it because, like I said, it scratches a specific type of tism in me with all the item variety. But I personally, I don't think I would get it for the full price. And that's another video, guys. Hope you liked it. See you soon.